On the Bitcoin subreddit, the subreddit where they basically call Bitcoin a scam and they keep talking about how it's going to go down eventually, they mentioned some pretty interesting scenarios. So we can see here, how will Bitcoin end? There's going to be a scenario between either Binance getting raided, Tether going kaput, or MicroStrategy going broke. What do you think is the highest probability path? So let's start with the first one here. Binance being raided. In 2000 and I think it was 2011, 2012, one of the biggest Bitcoin exchanges in the world, one of the only Bitcoin exchanges in the world, went bankrupt and Bitcoin didn't collapse. So at that time, Mt. Gox went bankrupt and Bitcoin survived. It didn't die. In 2022, FTX went bankrupt. And even then, people were thinking on Bitcoin, the subreddit, that Bitcoin is going to collapse. But it came right back. It's doing better than ever. It's making new all-time highs. That's because even though FTX collapsed, even though Mt. Gox collapsed, Bitcoin is still the same thing. It's still working as money. FTX and Mt. Gox are just layers that allow people to move Bitcoin from one place to another. So if you want to sell your Bitcoin, let's say you want to exchange it for US dollars, for Canadian dollars, for whatever, you can go to an exchange, you can give them your Bitcoin, and you can have them sell your Bitcoin on your behalf. They'll take a cut from you. And if you want to go to the other side of the transactions, if you want to buy Bitcoin, they'll help you buy Bitcoin. So they'll help you give away your fiat currency and then buy Bitcoin. So what happens here is the exchange is just facilitating the transaction between buyers and sellers. That's it. Binance being raided. So what happens if Binance goes bankrupt? Maybe Bitcoin will see a temporary pullback. Maybe it'll drop to $50,000, $40,000, $20,000. Eventually, it'll come right back up. Then it'll go even higher. Then it'll go even higher because Binance and the exchange business are so profitable that if Binance goes down, 10 other exchanges will take its place. We'll find more and more exchanges that are willing to help you to buy Bitcoin because it's so profitable. They get to take a percentage of every single transaction. Why would Binance being rated take Bitcoin down? It wouldn't. Unless Binance was the only exchange. Doesn't make a difference. I think Coinbase would probably be a bigger concern because Coinbase owns 2 million Bitcoin. If something like this does happen, let's say Binance goes bankrupt, they have to sell all their Bitcoin or they have to give all their Bitcoin back to their customers. Regardless of what happens, maybe Bitcoin's price drops temporarily because people lose faith in the industry, but eventually they'll get it back. Retail investors don't know what they're doing anyways. So if retail investors suddenly feel like, oh, Binance is going bankrupt, now Bitcoin is going to zero, temporarily sentiment will drop, but eventually it'll come back up. Number 2, Tether going kaput. So Tether is a company that creates a stable coin called USDT. So what that is it's a coin that's worth the same as $1. So 1 USDT is equivalent to $1. So the reason why people use USDT is because let's say they buy some random cryptocurrency and they think at some point that cryptocurrency's value is going to drop. What they do is they use Tether to make it easier for them to keep their money in the ecosystem instead of having to go through an exchange, sell your Bitcoin, and then take US dollars in your bank account. What you can do is you can sell your Bitcoin, you can sell your cryptocurrencies for Tether. You can leave your Tether on the exchange, never have to interact with the bank, and you can use Tether to get exposure to US dollars. So at some point, let's say Bitcoin's price drops, you can now exchange your Tether for US dollars. Tether is just a way for people to hold US dollars in the crypto environment. And the reason why Tether is constantly being talked about on Bitcoin, on the subreddit, is because a lot of volume is coming from Tether. A lot of people, I saw this graphic shared on Bitcoin before. So we can see here, 64% of volume is coming from Tether. And I think one of the main reasons for this is that people want to move from some random cryptocurrency to Tether to lock in their gains. And then from Tether, they can exchange to anything else. So trading pairs, whatever the trading pairs are basically when you have one currency over another, like USD to CAD, CAD to USD. The most common trading pairs are usually USDT and something else, because USDT represents US dollars. People are willing to give away their US dollars to buy pretty much any coin. The next most common one is USD, you can see here. And the next one, there's FDUSD. I'm not sure which one FD is, but it's probably another stable coin. Then you have USDC. USDC is also a stable coin. Tether is just the best company to provide this service as a stable coin. So of course they're going to have the most volume. So what people think here is that if Tether goes down again, Bitcoin is going to go to zero. That's what's going to end Bitcoin. I don't quite agree. Tether is such a massively profitable business because what they do is they take deposits from customers and then they use them to buy US treasuries. Every time they create more Tether, they buy more US treasuries to back that USDT, that coin. So worst case, if Tether goes bankrupt, what they're going to do is they're going to sell their treasuries and they're going to pay back all their creditors, all the people who gave them money. So if Tether goes bankrupt, maybe they'll have to sell some Bitcoin, because I think they have something like 100,000 Bitcoin. Maybe they have to sell all of them, but it'll be bought up so quickly. Maybe you'll see the price dump temporarily, but at some point it'll come right back up. If Tether goes bankrupt, because the demand for US dollar stablecoins is so high, there will be more competitors that take its place, and that I don't think that'll take a very long time to figure out how to replace Tether. I think there's going to be replacement after replacement. We already have these other coins here. We can see here USDC. Even Binance has their own stablecoin, BUSD. We can see that here. All of these ones that end with USD are stablecoins. So don't you think that all of these other coins are going to want to take USDT's place? It's such a profitable business. They're basically making interest for nothing. They're creating this coin out of thin air, and then they're buying treasuries using cash deposits to back that coin. It's an extremely simple business, extremely profitable. So if Tether does go bankrupt, I don't really see this being a concern for Bitcoin for a very long time. Maybe Tether has to sell their Bitcoin, like I said. They have to sell 100,000 Bitcoin, dump it on the market, price drops. Bitcoin supply is instantly absorbed, price goes back up. Next one, MicroStrategy. So if MicroStrategy goes bankrupt, of course, this could be a problem, but I don't think most people on Bitcoin can actually explain how MicroStrategy would go bankrupt. If MicroStrategy's holdings value decreases, it doesn't matter. What they owe is convertible debt. That convertible debt can't be called. Let's say Bitcoin's price drops to $50,000 overnight. It's not like MicroStrategy is going to go bankrupt. It's not like the people who invested in the debt can say, you owe this money to us, now you have to pay us back right away. They can't do that. The main problem here could be if, let's say, by 2027, Bitcoin's price is significantly lower. I had a conversation with Ben Workman, who actually explained this a little bit better than I can. I don't quite understand the details here, but essentially what's happening here is by 2027, if Bitcoin's price is much, much lower than where it is today, if the stock price is much lower, then MicroStrategy may have to pay back their lenders, all the people who invested in their debt in the 2027 expiry, the 2027 maturity. So in that case, they may have to liquidate some Bitcoin if the price is way too low. Maybe they have to liquidate everything, but the chances of that happening are very low. The average price of MicroStrategy's Bitcoin is something like $60,000 right now. That's what they paid for it. And from the numbers that I've seen, Bitcoin has to drop to $18,000 for them to be hurt by having to pay back their lenders, the people who they borrowed money from. So I don't even think this is a massive problem. It could be a problem in the coming years if Bitcoin's price drops and it keeps dropping and dropping and dropping. But I don't think any of these can actually end Bitcoin because none of these issues impact the protocol. The protocol is separate from the Bitcoin price. If you see Bitcoin's price on Coinbase at $98,000, that has nothing to do with the protocol. Of course, the miners are getting rewarded in Bitcoin, and less miners may be willing to secure the network if Bitcoin's price drops because they can't mine Bitcoin profitably. But over time, with the difficulty adjustment on the Bitcoin network, everything works itself out. All of this will be forgotten. If it happens after 2-3 years, it'll be forgotten. It won't be relevant. All of the Bitcoin that these institutions hold will just be redistributed. It'll actually make the network more powerful if these institutions collapse, because other institutions that don't make the same mistakes as these institutions will replace them. If one of these institutions collapses, it's because they did something wrong. If they did something wrong, the future generation, whoever replaces them, will do everything right. That's about it. There's nothing that these collapses can actually do to hurt Bitcoin.